Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
For this morning, we'll be looking at use of extinguisher. Just in case we have a fire, well, at least we need to know how to use an extinguisher. And I want to remind you guys of the PASS method. P-A-S-S. P stands for pulling the pin from the extinguisher. Pull the pin. A stands for aiming the nozzle at the base of the fire. The first S stands for squeezing the handle, and you'll just aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and you sweep from side to side. So P, you pull the pin. A, you aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. The first S, you squeeze the handle. The last S, you sweep from side to side. All right? And I mean, if we have a fire, the basic method for putting out a fire. And remember, gentlemen, while we go out there and work, remember, safety begins with us. All right? Very important for us to come, work safe, go home safe. That's it.
Trevor, Dunkley and Company does the mining for Jamalco, bauxite mining, where we mine the bauxite from the deposits, transport it via haul trucks down to the stockpile, and at the stockpile we load it into the rail cars, and the train carries it down to Jamalco for processing. In the mining industry, we have a responsibility to ensure to every worker to come to work safe and ensure that they go home safe to their family. The man hours is a compilation of the individual workers, and should in case a worker gets injured to the point where they can't come back to perform their task, whether they be in a hospital or bedridden, then that's an incident and it wipes that count clean. Starts from zero. For Trevor Dunkley, we had some start overs, but since we started over, we went straight to 7 million man hours without a loss.
Whether it's one person working for 7 million hours or 7 million persons working for an hour, it's about the same. In our case, we had about 350 employees who work 40 hours a day. Now, if you do that multiplication, it's about 14,000 hours per week. 14,000 hours per week times 50 weeks in a year, you're looking at 700,000 hours. So over 10 years, that's how we're able to achieve 700,000 hours per year, and that amounts to about 7 million. It is a big deal. In many cases, when you look online, you look in other industries, there are many people who blow a loud trumpet about achieving 1 million or 2 million man hours without a lost work day. And we are very, very proud that we're able to achieve 7 million man hours without injuring anybody to the extent that they had to stay home. And the risk that we subject ourselves to was enormous. For instance, one of the major risk factors we have in mining is using trucks. So at times we'd have maybe 80, 90 trucks running. Over a year, those trucks would run about 2.3 million kilometers hauling bauxite. And these aren't highways we're talking about. Sometimes road conditions might be bad, it might be rainy, at times they mine nights. So to run 2.3 million kilometers without an accident that caused an injury is a tremendous achievement. As an example, just to break it down some more, distance from Kingston to Montego Bay is about 180 kilometers. So when we're talking about 2.3 million kilometers, we're talking about 6,500 trips to Montego Bay. So you had a truck and it went to Montego Bay 6,500 times. Or if you had 100 trucks and each went to Montego Bay 65 times. It is a big deal that we're able to drive over 2.25 million kilometers without an accident that caused an injury to somebody.
Safety for Jamalco and the industry is a behavior. It is internal. It is very difficult to train people to change their behavior, and there are stages. So you can train someone to be aware of the various risks that will occur during a job. But it's not until they get to the stage of belief that you get a behavioral change. When you get a behavioral change, that is when people start to do the job or perform the job the way you expect it to be performed, and therefore they become safe.
We actually started out when we realized that they were giving us some problems. Safety begins at home. We achieved it. It took us about 3 years for them to understand what safety is like.
Turning the corner to get that understanding that the safety of their person is as important for everybody collectively as it is for just an individual.
Anybody that does not wear the vest or the glasses or any part of your body.
Safety gears.
Safety gears. You got to go back through the gate.
Safety is the key, right? Some people may see production as a key, but Trevor Dunkley Company places safety at all time first.
Well, safety is an all-encompassing part of what we do. First of all, we expect that persons will come to work fit and healthy and ready to work. There's a meeting every morning, a toolbox meeting, which is mandatory. And that toolbox meeting serves a number of purposes. First, it tells you what the work assignment is for the day. 2, it says what the conditions are in the field. And 3, it reminds you of the very basic safety rules and anything that has changed overnight that you need to be a part of. So that is accompanied by paperwork. So there are checklists to verify that equipment has been checked. There are attendance sheets. All that documentation is put together. Supervisors control that, and then throughout the day, we monitor the job. So from the start of the shift to the end of the shift, safety is an important part of what we do.
Safety, it is very important for Caterpillar. And being the dealer of Caterpillar in Jamaica, we follow those guidelines of safety. And we transmit that safety guidelines also to our customers and to contractors. In order to support the business, we have what we call a product support sales representative, which plays a very important role because he's the person who continuously visits the sites and do assessment of the machines to ensure that we can respond to any requirement, even in the phase of preventive maintenance to avoid any not planned downtime of the machines. So it's very key to think in productivity. But beyond of that, safety is a priority for Caterpillar. We work very hard in ensuring that we transmit and we create an environment of safety.
We found many cases where persons with the best will in the world were operating without the knowledge that they're required to do exactly what they're doing. As an example, we had truck drivers who in the morning would look at a truck tire but not use a gauge to test to see how much air pressure was in it. They would kick it and listen to the sound. Now, we need a truck to have 90 or 100 psi. We also found cases where persons were buying tires that were inferior. So we realized that there was a gap with tires. Now, as you know, if a tire fails on a truck, whether it's high speed or low speed loaded, you could have a major incident in which somebody is hurt. So we thought that the best way to close that gap was to have a training seminar on tires in which we invited tire manufacturers, tire suppliers, truck owners, truck drivers, and our own safety persons to sit together. And we did have a seminar. It was very fruitful, and at the end of the day, most persons left learning a lot more than they knew before on tires. A lot of the owners were very appreciative of it. And since then, we have reduced the number of tire failures significantly through that event. We had to communicate with our employees through various methods, and visuals, notices are an important part of the communication tool. We have notice boards, but we realized that very often if you had just text, persons would walk by. So we tried to make our communication as graphic, as visual as possible. For instance, when persons were caught in a violation and there was a photograph, we would put that up and we'd say to everybody that Mr. Brown was seen doing this and this is wrong. We should not do it. We should avoid that action. However, if Mr. Brown was seen doing something exemplary, something which was very noteworthy, we'll also take a photograph of Mr. Brown and that will be put up alongside the violation notice, and we'd commend him using that avenue of a notice to say, you're doing well, keep on doing the good work.
For every job, we do a safety analysis of the job, identifies the hazard associated with the job. So the driver has his safety analysis different from the operators of the excavators, the dozers, the heavy duty equipment, or even the flag person. They have a different set of hazards to work with. So each job category has their safety issues, and we sensitize every worker accordingly.
One of the important things about maintaining haul truck safety again is to train the people you're working with. Some more haul truck drivers from other areas, some were working in the sugarcane industry, and a few might have been taxi drivers at some point in time. So we had to bring everybody to a common ground, and one of the tools that we used was this haul truck operator training manual, which is really a guide for any and everybody to say what are the expectations that we have when you're working with Trevor, Dunkley and Company. The content including basic things like maintenance of truck, operation of a seat belt, how to drive in communities where there are children, how to operate on wet roads. And I think this was one of the significant learning events for our drivers that made them much safer.
Safety, very, very, very important. If you're not safe, you won't make it.
When I joined Jamalco in 1977, I met Trevor Dunkley, and at that time, his company consisted of one truck which he drove personally. Over the years, the company has grown. One of the pluses for Trevor Dunkley Limited is the leadership of Trevor Dunkley and Marcia. You hardly ever see one without the other. She's the one that does the financials and the admin, and he handles the operations, and they make a great team. You know, the leadership is responsive to every request of Jamalco. You know, we have called them in the middle of the night, asking them because we've had an emergency to provide us equipment to solve a problem, and they have always responded. Trevor Dunkley Limited has grown to the point where they are seen by all the mining companies as a leading contractor for mining or reclaiming deposits, mined out deposits in the island. So they have grown to the point where they're probably the largest equipment contractor in the island.
We grew from a single person with a one truck into a company that employed approximately up to 600 persons.
Trevor Dunkley doesn't see a particular person as a worker. Trevor Dunkley see every man as his son, every woman as his daughter, right? So it's a family. It's a family thing. You know, there are some people there who, you know, perhaps dropped out of school earlier and they just came there to get a job to earn some money. No, Trevor Dunkley company actually encourage persons to go back to school, right? Trevor Dunkley actually help persons financially going back to school, right? Giving them time off to go to school. So that was a plus for Trevor Dunkley.
We keep safety as our focus. While we want production, it's no use if it's not safe. And that's what we do.
I'd like to congratulate Trevor Dunkley Limited, to both the leadership of Trevor and Marcia and their supervision and the workers for this achievement of 7 million man hours without a lost workday. This is absolutely a fantastic achievement. It's taken over 10 years to do it, and it's a continued focus and diligence on safety. Safety is a journey, it never ends, and so you have to continue working at it every day.
I do think that the achievement that Trevor Dunkley have accomplished is very, very important in the mining sector. I think it's a reference. It's a reference not only for Jamaica, but also to the whole region. To achieve 7 million hours without any lost injured, it's very, 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 really very important.
When we're told by others in the industry that this is a worldwide achievement, not just for Jamaica, but just something that is not achievable in a lot of instances anywhere else in the world, and you have very big contractors, very big contracts for that matter, in the mining industry all over the world, in Australia, Rio Tinto, or even Brazil, and these folks there have not been able to achieve this sort of accomplishment from a safety standpoint. So for us, it is really a good feeling to have achieved such an accomplishment, and to know that we are Jamaicans, so we can actually be proud of what we have.
So by any standard, whether by local standard or by international standard, to have worked 7 million man hours, and we're talking about working over 10 years, we're talking about the stockpile working for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, night, day, rain, you name it. And to go through that long period, that many activities, 350 persons per week without getting an injury that will cause a lost work day, it's a major deal. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal.